Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Goeiemiddag, dames en here. Dumelang bomme libointate. So we are on day 7 of our online engineering week. Dis al 7 dae wat ons elke middag regstreeks op YouTube om 3 uur met julle gesels en baie hartlik welkom by vanmiddag se aflewering. So yesterday we started with our series this week. As you know, there are 4 different programs specifically related to electrical engineering. So you have electronic engineering. Today we're going to focus on computer and electronic engineering. Then we have mechatronic engineering and electromechanical engineering. Now, one of the big questions we always get is, what are the differences between these 4 programs? So that's why you have to tune in this week, want hierdie week gaan ons spesifiek na elkeen van hierdie 4 dissiplines kyk om jou te help om 'n meer ingeligte besluit te maak rakende jou toekoms. So, as daar vrae is, as daar enige vrae is, asseblief moenie huiwer om vrae vir ons te tik in die live YouTube chat funksie nie. Dit is hier, dink ek, hier iewers is daar 'n spasie. Tik gerus daai vrae there. If you have any questions, please type those questions. Ubotsa dipotso, haunali dipotso. You must just ask those questions and we will answer them live during this session. Now, this afternoon, we're going to do things a little bit different. We are going to start with an overview of the program, and that will be done by Mr. Christu van der Merwe, who is a lecturer in the faculty. Then we will move to Professor Johan Holm, who is also a lecturer, but is also actively involved in industry. And then, last but not least, we will talk to Pieter Jordaan, who is in industry working as a computer engineer. And he'll tell us a bit about the job that he's doing, the work he's doing, and that's very interesting. And then Isak, working behind the scenes, he will also join us, giving us a perspective from a student point of view with regards to what this degree entails. So we're going to start. Christu, hartlike goeiemiddag aan jou. Welcome. Tell us a bit about yourself before you start, and then once you've told us a bit about yourself, your background, you can jump right in and tell us about this field within engineering.
Thank you, Corneels. Middag julle. Just to give you a brief overview, I graduated at the Northwest University, and I'm still at the Northwest University. I finished my BEng. I went out to industry for a small while, and then I came back to do my master's degree and started lecturing shortly after that. And it's such a great place that I'm still there. I'm struggling to get away from it. Really enjoy it. I enjoy working with students, and it's really a good environment. It's a positive environment. And you meet some inspiring people there as well. So it's nice to be there. The goal of today is we really want to get you there as well. You to be a student at the Northwest University. And if we can get we want you to be a student at the Faculty of Engineering, more specifically at the School for Electrical, Electronic and Computer Engineering. Specifically, we want you to be a computer electronic engineering. The first question that I always get with these type of the engineering schools: what modules am I going to take? What subjects do I have to have in school? And all those type of things. Now, the short answer is, important things is your maths and your science. All the rest of the stuff will only help you. If you are good with electronics, it will help you a lot. If you can program, it will help you a lot. If you can do something with your hands, you can construct things and all that stuff, then it's, of course, it's a help. But the main thing is mathematics and science. So why do we stress that so much? As you know, or as you have gathered through this week, as engineers, we solve problems. To solve those problems, we need tool set, like any artisan. The tool set that we use is mathematics and science. You have to understand that in order to solve problems. That's why we always start with that. Now, just give me a moment. I just want to share a part of my screen, so I can talk around the curriculum. Up now. Right. Can I just get some feedback? Is it up? You guys see it? Yeah.
Yes, you can continue, Chris. It's on the screen.
All right. Okay, excellent. Just a picture or diagram of the modules that you will have through your 4 years. It's the 1, 2, and 4 at the top. And that's a typical curriculum for computer electronic engineering. The yellow parts is basic mathematics, physics, and statistics and applied mathematics. As you can see, it's quite yellow in your first and your second year. Then it's fading away and it's getting more bluish and greenish. Now the blue, that's all the engineering disciplines. The green is all the programming and digital work. So as you can see at the start, we like to enforce your knowledge on mathematics and physics, and we have a program they call academic literacy development skills that you learn to what to learn. There's introductory programming, engineering graphics, introductory algebra and calculus, basic physics, introduction to digital systems, ones and zeros, practical engineering practice, statistics and mathematical modeling, electrotechnique, where you start to learn how to solve electric circuits, material science, introductory algebra and calculus, basic physics to introduction to microcontrollers. Then the second year, we start with electrotechnique, follow up, and signal electricity and magnetism, dynamics, differential equations, advanced calculus, linear algebra, algorithms and optimization, understanding the technological world, which is more, oh, sorry, the orange parts, that's more like management, projects, and philosophy. We have signal theory 1, electronics 1, linear systems, empirical methods, engineering analysis, linear algebra, embedded systems, fundamental engineering application program. Here, electromagnetics, control theory, electronics 2, embedded operating systems, network fundamentals, computer engineering design, where you do your own project in a team, object-oriented software development, signal theory 2, engineering statistics, principles of measurement, science, technology, and society. In your third year, the maths start to taper off, so we focus more on the engineering side. And in your fourth year, there's almost no more fundamental maths and physics for application and some management modules, signal theory 2, data analysis, telecommunication systems, application training, control theory, engineering management, databases and web programming, and then your capstone project for the whole year, which is a project that you do on your own. Prove that you can apply all the knowledge that you learned through the first 3.5 years, 3 years. Now, for interest, like the numbers you see at the bottom is the amount of credits, weight of the module. Basically, credits in the semester, you should more or less 120 modules. So this is just an overview to show you what type of modules you will have at university. And if you are interested in the details, you can look at the or download the yearbook, the site. Then you can uh, the details of those modules. Now, I just want to sketch that because that is the building blocks that you need in order to get your BEng degree. At the university, we do present a degree. It's accredited to can work in any country in the world that is also signatories of the Washington Accord. And So from there on, you can decide what you want to do with your future. You can go on, stay at the university, do a master's degree, a PhD, go out in industry, and become a real engineer like Peter. So they'll tell you a bit more about that side. Willem is also a lecturer at the university, and he's quite involved in the postgraduate studies. Peter is a local engineer here in Potchefstroom, specifically a computer electronic engineer in its rawest form. So enjoy.
Baie dankie Christo. Net om daai te herhaal, die van julle en ek hou baie van die diagram wat jy opgesit het om al die vakke uiteen te sit, eerste jaar, tweede jaar, derde jaar, vierde jaar. En ek wil mense wat wil spesifiek gaan kyk, ook vir die ander dissiplines. Google so eenvoudig soos NWU jaarboek en gaan soek vir die ingenieurswese voorgraadse jaarboek. Just go into Google and Google NWU yearbook 2020 and you will find under the Faculty of Engineering the undergraduate yearbook, and then you will be able to access the curricula of all the programs within engineering. It's quite a lengthy document, these yearbooks, but it will provide you with all that information. Christo, voordat ek jou gaan groet in terme van jou sessie nou, jy gaan nog 'n rukkie by ons wees, het ek wel 'n vraag vir jou. Gister het ons spesifiek gekyk na elektries-elektroniese ingenieurswese, vandag kyk ons na rekenaar-elektroniese ingenieurswese. So my vraag is, in daai oorsig wat jy gegee het, watter van daai vakke is uniek net tot rekenaar-elektroniese ingenieurswese? Want ek weet daar's 3 kategorie vakke. Aan die een kant het ons vakke wat in al die programme voorkom, vat byvoorbeeld wiskunde of wetenskapsleer. Dis vir almal daar. Dan is daar vakke wat gedeel word, wat beide deur rekenaar-elektronies en ook elektries-elektronies gebruik word. Maar dan is daar ook vakke wat uniek is, wat net in julle program is. Wat sal min of meer daai vakke wees? Ek gaan daai vraag net vra. Which are the subjects which are unique to computer electronic engineering?
Corneels, om jou vraag te antwoord, rekenaar-elektroniese ingenieurswese gaan meer oor die opwekking, benutting en verspreiding en bestuur van informasie. Maar elektries-elektronies gaan meer oor die opwekking, benutting, bestuur van energie. Waar jy met jou rekenaar elektronies gaan fokus op goed soos databasisse, programmering, data-analise, teorie, daai tipe goed. Kan jy weer in jou elektries-elektronies gaan jy meer fokus op kragstelsels en stelsels, daai tipe verder elektromagnetisme rigting. So dit gaan letterlik oor die grootte van die strome en die spannings, is een ding, ook die kommoditeit waarmee gewerk word. Een is informasie en die ander een is.
Thank you very much, Christo. Now we're going to delve into the next level, and that is, so we have undergraduate, the first 4 years, and now we go beyond that. We're going to look at the postgraduate section of this field. And Professor Johan Holm, welcome. If you can please just also give us a brief introduction of the path that you've taken to get to where you are now, and then take it from there and reveal to us the world of computer electronic engineering. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Corneels. Thank you very much. Welcome everybody to our session, and what a joy to be here to discuss some of our research topics with you. So, my history is actually is one of electronic engineering in the days when electronic engineering didn't really include computer engineering. So I started off as an electronic engineer, and that is a raw electronic engineer. We work with electrons instead of bits and bytes. And I studied at the University of Pretoria. I stayed there for about 18 years. I've always been active in industry. I worked at the CSIR while working at the University of Pretoria, and I've done some research on artificial intelligence, more specifically on neural networks and artificial neural networks, and how to train them and how to teach them things that humans don't have the capacity, or the capability, but typically not the capacity to do. So that is, in other words, we did research on pattern recognition, voice recognition, speech recognition in the old days. That's in the late 80s and the early 90s. And then we switched over to computers that were more powerful, and then the computers started taking over. And nowadays, these things tend to learn, all by themselves. So let me tell you a little bit more about what we do, and I think you might be interested in some of these topics. So the first and the most obvious place where electronic engineering or electronic and computer engineering would be used is in telecommunication. So telecoms is really a combination of wireless networks and fiber networks and the old copper-based networks that we see everywhere around us. Now, they consist of the wireless networks, are typically what you see with MTN and Vodacom and so forth. And the 5G networks will be using all smaller cells and many more of them than the 4 and the 3G networks. So there's a lot of research on how to hand over between one cell to another. Once we, in a cell, we register ourselves, your phone or your smartphone, whatever device you've got, registers in a cell, and then we've got to hand over to another cell. And through all those, those movements between the cells, we need to manage the communication and make sure that the quality of service that the client or the user experiences, that quality of service remains intact. So there's a lot of research on that, on 5G networks and so forth. And no, 5G networks don't cause corona. They don't do that. Instead, there's one way you can get corona, though. That is if you lick the pole on which the antenna is installed, and another guy comes and he licks the same pole. Then you're going to get corona from that pole. Otherwise, 5G networks don't cause corona. Right, so fiber networks, there's a lot of new networks coming out, and all these networks, fiber networks and wireless networks, all add together to form the larger computer network system, which we call the web, if you like, and the cloud that lives inside that web. All right, so then we do a lot of research on robotics and drones, and well, so what are they used for? Now, quite apart from war, which we're not too keen on going into at this stage, um, robots and drones are used in areas and places where humans can't go. And if you want to deliver something, for example, a package to someone in a dangerous environment, or if you want to do reconnaissance of an area in a security environment, or if you want to take photographs or videos of crops, growing in a field or something to that effect. So then you'll use a drone and with a camera and everything. And that same wireless network that we just spoke about, that network will be used with a drone. So we're doing lots of work on or research on drones and unmanned aerial vehicles. And it's quite an interesting field because there's a lot of theory and a lot of practice that combine to form a drone, for example. You can think there's a mechanical structure, there's a control system that ensures that the drone hovers correctly and that it can be manipulated. Then there's a communication system. There's video and video analytics. You can see that it's a whole combination of different elements. So there's a little bit of electromechanics in. There's lots of wireless, communication, and some video analytics, which is more on the computer side of things. So that's one of the fields and topics that we interested in. Then we've got the Internet of Things. Now, there's a lot of talk about the Internet of Things. Now, the Internet of Things, what are those things? So I'm of the opinion that things don't exist. It'll be an Internet of Systems. And the system has a specific application. So it might be a financial technology system, which we call fintech, or it might be an agricultural system where we measure a lot of things in the field, and then we control a whole bunch of other things that we get into a little bit later. It could be a security system, for example, where you'll be monitoring people using video and audio and all kinds of clever detection methods, and then you'll react. So it's a combination of different elements, which and I'm reluctant to say they're all electronic because the Internet of Things is really a balance between all the different fields of electromechanical engineering, mechanical engineering, even chemical engineering. Every place in the world where you can measure something, that is where you'll be able to use the Internet of Things. And also, lately, instead of just control systems and highly technical systems, we get the softer side of things also going into the Internet of Things. And we'll get into that if there are any questions on that topic. So that's the Internet of Things. It's difficult to define because there's no clear definition of it. But we define it in terms of 5 layers. The bottom layer is the detailed technical layer. That is almost a scientific layer. That's where people do chemistry and where people do, electronics at the very lowest layer. Then the next layer is what we call a technical layer. That is where we put these things, all this knowledge of the bottom layer together, and we build little devices. Then we've got an operational layer. That is where we start using these devices and people start manipulating these information and devices to actually achieve a goal. Which could be, if for example, if that's an agricultural system, that would be the farm. So you'll be driving vehicles and using implements and so forth. That's the operational layer. On top of that, there's then what we call an information layer, which is where the information that evolves from this network, the operational side of things, where we've now implemented all our little sensors and things. Now that information that gets layered up, and we call the next layer, or this information layer, we call the orchestration layer. That is where we get all the information together and we make decisions and we decide on how to run our operations. On top of that, we've got what we call an intelligence layer. And that intelligence layer is where we use what we call business intelligence. And there's a lot of analytics going on there. We look at trends. So as opposed to just information, we like to see trends. We like to see how things change over time. And then we make decisions on what to do next. Do we use, for example, a better technology when we see we're losing money? Or if we can make more information available, can we implement a different technology? And so we make the very high level decisions there at the top. So there are 5 layers, and I'm going to repeat them. It'll be at the bottom, the scientific or the technical, highly technical layer, the detail layer. Then there's the what we call the technician or technical layer, operational layer, information layer, and the analytics or the intelligence layer at the very top of that. So that is the Internet of Things, how we look at that. Now, we like to do lots of research on that. That's my specific field of interest because it combines virtually everything that we do. You can see that at the very top layer, the intelligence layer, there we do a bit of artificial intelligence. At the layer just below the artificial intelligence layer is where we get information from systems and we make it visible to people to manage. So that is a lot of communication that takes place there. And you can see through the layers, virtually all the different disciplines participate to give us this Internet of Thing definition. So my specific field of interest is artificial intelligence. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that because, well, actually there's no such thing as artificial intelligence because we actually teach these things how to teach, how to train themselves and how to learn. So it's actually induced intelligence, if you like. Something that we tell people, we like sound intelligence. So we say artificial intelligence and then everybody says, ooh, that's wonderful. But in the end, it's a whole bunch of algorithms that we use to do deep learning and all kinds of learning in order to achieve certain goals. And those goals will be pattern recognition. That's one of the goals that we want to achieve with artificial intelligence. So in other words, we would like to recognize things. We would like to see, hold on, I've seen that face before. So we do facial recognition. I've seen that for example, in agriculture, I've seen that disease on a leaf. I've seen that before. And that could be rust or something. I'm not very good at the agricultural side of things, as you might actually see. But anyway, so we would like to recognize things, people and leaves and all funny things that and even bubbles. In the chemical industry, and I know, Corneels, you in the chemical industry, they analyze bubbles, the shape of bubbles, to see what's going on inside that fluid and inside the process. And and those shapes then actually tell you something. So you need to recognize these little shapes and make decisions based on the actual form, the physical form of it. So that is pattern recognition. Then we would like to do system identification. So system identification, that's very interesting because now I've got a system that I don't fully understand. And this could be, the virus, the COVID virus is a system that we don't understand. It's a little microbe, small little thingy, but it actually works in a way that it causes a whole bunch of side effects. So we would like to understand these side effects. And that is actually then a very complex adaptive system because this virus adapts over time as well. So now we need to identify the activities of this virus and we have to see what the effects are. So for that, we can model this virus as a system that we don't fully understand, but we can monitor the effects of the virus. And then when we understand what the effects are, we can actually start looking for linkages between the effects of the virus and people or people who are vulnerable, with respect to this infection. So that would be a system identification problem. And as we speak, some of the biggest computers in the world are busy trying to analyze what this virus actually does and how it works. And in Japan, I believe they've got the fastest computer now in the world, and they're using it to do this exactly. So if once we've identified the system, we can now start looking at ways how we can manipulate the system in order to achieve the goal, namely to eliminate or to curb the spread of the virus, or just take action against this virus. And then we look so we've now got pattern recognition and we've got system identification or characterization. Then another interesting thing is anomaly detection that we do with artificial intelligence. So we look at how things are, and then we look at how they change. And you can imagine now, if things are the same, then we're not concerned. But the moment things change and we can't predict anymore what's going to happen, then we would like to tell someone, typically one of the managers, in this BI system at the top that we spoke about in the IoT, we would like to tell them, oh, hold on, guys, or girls, do something. We've seen an anomaly, and so you got to take action. So one of the most important things then is to be able to predict. And the moment we cannot predict anymore, then we do anomaly detection. And then lastly, very interesting, and Peter Jordan, who will be joining us a little bit later, is actually he's the one who should be talking about this, because he's the specialist on computer architectures and computer software and networks and systems and cloud systems. And I don't know, I still have to see the cloud. I haven't seen the cloud yet. Peter might know where it is, and he'll probably tell us a little bit more. But the cloud apparently lives somewhere, and inside that cloud, a whole bunch of things happen. Things such as computations and storage and inputs and outputs, and there's a lot of traffic that goes into this cloud. I don't know exactly. Again, I don't know where it is. Maybe and we can ask someone. Corneels, if you want to chime in, please do so. But yes, we'll find the cloud when we speak to Peter, and he'll tell us a little bit more about that. Corneels, I think that is basically what we do. The application you'll find, or the applications of electronic and computer engineering, you'll find virtually everywhere in the world now. And I think what we have to acknowledge is that electronic engineering has become a little bit stagnant 10 years ago, a decade or so. Things tapered down a bit, but now with the Internet of Things and with the latest developments, electronic engineering has picked up a great deal again, because IoT is based on electronic engineering and combined with computer engineering, obviously. But that is why our degree, the electronic and computer engineering degree at the Northwest University, is so applicable to what's happening in the world right now.
Baie dankie, Johan. Dis vir my so lekker om na jou te luister, wat ek kan hoor. Hierdie is nie net sommer 'n werk vir jou nie. Ek kan hoor dit is 'n leefstyl. Ek kan hoor jy's passievol oor hierdie veld, en wat ek ook duidelik aflei, daar's nie einde nie. Dis so wyd waar hierdie veld toepassing vind, en dit het my sommer nou baie lekker aan die luister. Daar's 'n vraag van Regard Kotse. Regard, baie dankie vir jou vraag. Ek gaan dit gou in Afrikaans vra en dan sal ek dit in Engels vra. Johan, ek gaan sommer vra dat jy dit antwoord. Wat ek wil weet is die internet van dinge, Internet of Things, is dit soos 'n geautomatiseerde kweekhuis wat jy die waardes kan sien as jy aan die ander kant van die wêreld is. So in Engels, so is the Internet of Things like an automated greenhouse that you can see the values from the other side of the world? Hy daai vraag wat hy vra. Dankie, Regard. Johan?
Ja, inderdaad, Regard. Ek gaan hom so in Afrikaans en Engels beantwoord. Inderdaad, dit is presies wat ons doen. So wat ons doen is, ons sal nou so 'n kweekhuis bou, en dan sal ons nou binne die kweekhuis sal ons nou sensortjies sit om te kyk wat die temperatuur, die humiditeit is, en ook die vloeie, weet, van waters en al die nutrients. Ek het nou vergeet wat die mooi Engels Afrikaans naam daarvoor is, die nutrients. So ons sal dit alles moniteer. Dan kan ons nou daardie kweekhuis kan ons nou dophou. En een van die groot dinge van die internet van dinge is dat ons kan mobiliteit inbring. Met ander woorde, ek kan op my foon of my laptop of enige plek in die wêreld kan ek sien wat daar aangaan binne die kweekhuis. En nie net kan ek sien wat daar aangaan nie, ek kan ook besluite neem. So die stelsel sal ook vir my sê, ja, bou so 'n bietjie vas. Jy kan nie die hele tyd, jy's dalk nou besig om 'n fliek te kyk, iewers in 'n plek. Weet nie wat jy kyk op deesdae Netflix, so jy sal seker daar by 'n meisie of iemand wees, En dan gaan jy nou Netflix kyk en jy wil nou nie gepla word deur hierdie kweekhuis van jou wat regtig nou begin plan nie, weet waar hy moet die kweekhuis moet nou aangaan. So dan sal die netwerk die inligting deurkommunikeer na die wolk toe. Die besluite sal geneem word op grond van reëls en op grond van wat miskien in neurale netwerk geleer word. En dan sal daardie besluite 'n aksie tot gevolg hê. Ons sal byvoorbeeld een of ander beheer uitoefen. As dit te warm word in die kweekhuis, sal ons iets doen. As dit te koud word ensovoorts, as daar sekere vloeie nie reg is nie, dan sal ons nou besluite neem. Dit kan basiese reëls wees of dit kan baie intelligente besluite wees en dan sal ons daar nou 'n aksie neem en daai aksie gaan dan ook terug na die kweekhuis toe. Van waar dit ook al is. So die besluit kan by die kweekhuis self gewees word. Hulle praat deesdae van tiny AI. Dit is 'n klein stukkie artificial intelligence of kunsmatige intelligensie wat binne die kweekhuis self leef en self daar besluite neem sodat mense nie die hele tyd alles hoef deur te kommunikeer nie, maar net die goeders wat van belang is. So in other words, this little greenhouse is then connected to the internet. The internet is connected to a cloud. The cloud is then takes informed decisions using whatever rules or artificial intelligence is available, and then action is taken based upon the decisions that were made by this cloud or by you, the human. So I've got my phone. I could be the intelligent system speaking to the greenhouse, or I could be replaced for certain, in certain functions by the cloud that's pre-programmed or that is a self-learning system to take decisions and apply the control to the greenhouse through whatever system, whatever device or system I've got. I hope that answers your question. Corneels, is ons reg? Nog vrae? Okay, see Isaac sitting there. Okay, so any more questions, Corneels? Are you up and running, sir?
Right. Yes, I'm up and running. You know, the internet comes and goes, but thank you for that answer. Another question. This is an interesting question. It's. I assume this is not from a matric, but it's still important. I'm going to ask all three questions, and these questions are from Samuel Oladeo, and he is currently in his final year studying computer science and electronics. And he says he's really been conflicted on either proceeding with his honors. So yes, I assume then it's a BSc, to proceed with his honors or shifting towards computer and electronic engineering. That is the question, whether you should go on with an honors or jump over to engineering, and what would be the best considering industry. And then just a final question from him: do computer and electronic engineering get to work with quantum computing systems? So that's again so the first question: what would be the best? Continue with an honors or jump over to computer and electronic engineering? And with regards to job opportunities, and then also a question on quantum computing. Perhaps I should leave that for Peter. We can jump over to him. But yes, Johan.
All right. So well, it's a difficult answer because it's an answer that he himself can only answer. But I can give him some decision support information to make that decision. When you're doing IT, you will remain in IT. You will learn a little bit about, you will learn lots about IT security, and you will learn about networks and so forth. But you typically will stay in the IT domain. In other words, you won't be developing products, hardware products, or network switching products at the technical level. If you're comfortable in that environment, in a corporate environment or in an environment that works with software and abstract systems, then I think IT is a good thing. And doing an honors is always a good thing. Whether you're doing it in computer engineering or in IT, it remains a good choice. Basically, the formation of the forming of your and the integration of all the knowledge that you've gained over all the years takes place in postgrad studies. That's where you really learn about things. It's not undergraduate exposes you to a whole bunch of fundamental things. In your final year, you learn a little bit about integrating knowledge, but in honors, you learn lots about integrating knowledge and more advanced topics. So it's always a good thing. And there's a lot of space in the world for IT specialists. specifically people with degrees. The industry is starting to look at more qualified people, and I'm not shooting down any other qualification. It's just that when you do a degree, you've got a certain foundation of basic knowledge that is desired by industry. Um, Computer engineering, you will be, if you switch over to computer engineering, you will be redoing quite a number of years, I believe. Christo, I think you're the one to say more about that. But in fact, you will get maybe credit for some of the software courses and so on, but hardware and electronics and all the fundamental physics and those things and applied physics, you're going to have to redo them. So my personal opinion would be, do an honors and enter the world of work, of industry, and I think you're going to do better that way. It's just a personal opinion. Then on quantum computing, we can talk to Peter about that. Quantum computing is about qubits. It's more physics and quantum physics than anything else. It's about the state of electrons, whether they're spinning up or down, and we're representing zeros and ones with up spins and down spins and a whole bunch of things. And we used to joke that optics is always the technology of the future, and maybe at this stage quantum computing is also technology of the future because it's going to remain in the future for quite a while. So if you're interested in that and interested in research, do that. If you want to make money, go do your honors and enter the world of work.
Thank you very much, Johan. What I like about your answer, we are not just salesmen trying to get people into the program. We are here to answer questions that is in the best interest of the person asking the question. So, Samuel, I hope that helps you. If you have finished your BSc, doing an honors, it's one additional year, and you can enter the mark and start working, which might be good. But if you really want to do engineering, we're not going to chase you away and say you cannot do this. And because of that, I'm going to just pass the microphone to Christo. Christo, if somebody were to come to the university with a BSc, okay, of some sorts, and would decide to go into a BEng, computer and electronic engineering, what would be the penalties? What would be accepted? How would that pan out? Let me just hear from you.
Okay, Corneels, yes, I agree totally with the answer from Johan. The thing is, like I say, usually the bottom part, the in-depth physics, mathematics, applied mathematics, that's the modules that you'll have to redo. And someone like that will typically go through they call it the RPL process, recognition of prior learning. So then they'll identify, and if some of the modules are similar, they don't have to take that again. In essence, you have to, you can't just jump over from a BEng course to a normal BSc to, say, a master's in engineering course. You have to have a graduate or undergraduate BEng degree to go on with a master's degree. So the thing is, it all depends on the RPL. But yes, you have to redo a lot of your modules in order to get a BEng degree. Not all of them, but most of them. Where I can see you will definitely, from a BSc perspective, get modules recognized, some of the mathematics, some of the programming, and the statistics.
Baie dankie, Christo. So Samuel, I hope that has answered your questions. You had many, those are good questions. So next up, before, Regard, ek sien jou vraag. Ons gaan nou by daai vraag uitkom. I first want to introduce one of our alumni who's currently working. He studied at the Northwest University. He's going to introduce himself, but he's going to introduce himself in a bit of a different way. And just to prove that us engineers, we are a crazy bunch, and you should not make stereotypical comments about us because we are a species of our own. But Peter, we're crossing over to you. Well, that was Pieter. Pieter, tell us a bit about yourself. Wat is die pad wat jy gestap het? Hoe het jy gekom waar jy tans is? En waarmee is jy tans besig behalwe dat jy ook 'n goeie gitaarspeler is en musikant? Kom ons hoor wat het Pieter vir ons te sê.
Baie welkom aan almal wat luister. Very welcome to each and everyone listening in. Thank you for asking me to join in this panel discussion. So I started at the Northwest University Potchefstroom campus in 2007, and I've completed my BEng, followed by my master's, and I'm currently pursuing my PhD as well with the Northwest University. Since I was a little child, I had an interest in computers, I had an interest in programming specifically, and then the interest in electronics also got sparked. So it was a natural decision for me. I did do some of those tests that say which course you should take, and it didn't really pan out to be an interest of mine. So I went with my instinct and I went with my passion, and I pursued this engineering degree. So after my studies as master, we started a company called Jericho Systems here in Potchefstroom. Really enjoy the town feel, not the city feel. It's a lot less traffic. I can't use the excuse of traffic when I'm late at work, though I'm never late at work. Yes, I think we do very interdisciplinary work here. We work with a lot of the things that Prof. Johan Holm mentioned. Specifically, my area of interest is the cloud computing side of things in terms of getting the whole system connected and getting it working in a performant way and making sure that everything is redundant, and even if the worst case thing happens, we can still deliver our service. So I'm not sure, would you like me to show some of the things we're working on?
Thank you very much. That would be awesome. Please proceed.
Right. So I know Richard mentioned a lot of the work in IoT, so that's very up our alley. We're working specifically in a few fields that Prof. Johan Holm also mentioned. Fintech communications, we have some things in agriculture, and all of them are connected systems. Like Prof mentioned as well, it's not something you put in and, well, now you have IoT. It's a system behind it. It's a system of connected systems. And so I'll just show you a couple of things we're doing. Let me just move this camera around. This is my assistant, Leon. He's also an alumni. He just received his degree, his master's degree, also from the Northwest University in Potchefstroom. And he'll be my assistant today. So over here, we've got some of our, we call them the routers. So what they are mobile devices, which are in the field, they have battery backup, and basically what they do is they provide communication for whatever device or whatever sensor or whatever thing we need in the field. And they provide us with telemetry information in terms of, are they connected now? We can do some configurations remotely. And basically the premise of this thing was, we don't want someone to drive out to reboot something, to plug something in. We can do all the diagnostics and all the configuration remotely from anywhere in the world. And that's what really gets me excited. So that's basically just one of the products. You can see we do the electronic design, we do the layout of the boards, we do the production. We don't do the production ourselves, but we handle the whole production thing in terms of getting the board, getting the components onto the board, and then also the software that runs on these devices, as well as the whole thing in between, the cloud. I'll get to what the cloud really is and where it is in a moment. And also, Refan, I see you're quite interested in the end user. Who's the end user and how do these things get connected? So we also do the app development as well. So the whole system from the end user straight through to the cloud and then again to the other side of the cloud, which would be our end devices. All of these things are what a computer engineer can do. So here's another thing, a security system. Same thing, electronics, connectivity, and remote access. And over here, which I asked my colleague to demonstrate, is something we built for the agriculture industry. Same thing, we don't want someone driving out and going and turning on pumps and going and turning on devices. We want to do that remotely from the comfort of our home and get feedback and see that the whole way through. So we'll quickly discuss the project with you.
Hi, everyone. So I'll just quickly discuss one of the systems that we've developed here. It's an agricultural system. So in essence, this is a remote pivot that provides irrigation for the fields. And this is the board that we've developed. This sits in the panel, and you can actually start and stop the pivot as a normal pivot would at the board, but this is also then connected and sends data through the cloud to a remote server, which you can access on a website or on your phone. So this is an example of how that would look. From here, you can see all the statuses and settings and everything that the pivot is currently on. And you can also manage and control the pivot board remotely. So another thing that we've developed or printed is the actual pivot structure. That is for testing and simulation purposes. So if we start the pivot remotely, just here, so I can start the pivot here remotely on my phone, and that will actually send the command to the pivot board. I'll just put this in hyperdrive, and then it actually start the pivot, as you can see running there. Yeah, so that entails actually sending data from your phone to a remote server on halfway across the world, sending it back to this device through the web, and actually sending the command to the structure and starting the motors. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Leon. Right. Yes, so that is in a nutshell what we do and what we can do. Like I mentioned, it's quite interdisciplinary. So we have a lot of artificial intelligence on the backside as well. For some of the more security kind of things, we're doing facial recognition, detection, those kinds of things. We haven't specifically worked on quantum computing, but that's also available in the cloud, which I'll try and define quickly. So basically, the cloud is just some fancy word or fancy way of describing a cluster of computers that have been abstracted in such a way that someone can provision resources with the click of a button. So it's really somewhere in the world there's a container with big server racks and things like that, but they've connected them and allowed users to just provision it with the click of a button. So basically, the cloud is really just a bunch of servers.
Thank you very much, Pieter. So ons weet nou waar's die wolk. We know now where the cloud is. So I have two questions for you. Let's start with the first question. Looking at this degree, can you work for yourself and can you work from home in the field of computer electronic engineering?
Yes, Corneels, absolutely. You can work for yourself. Our company started very humbly in our homes, and we've built it up into what it is now. We have a team of 7 computer electronic engineers working here. And but it's definitely something I know of a lot of people that does these kind of projects at freelance. But it is really great working with the team. And so that's also great in terms of working with other people, getting their inputs and dividing the project into subsystems, and each one has their own specific part of the project that they have to implement.
Great. Just a follow-up question, Peter. From your own experience, looking at your colleagues, looking at the people who graduated with you from the Northwest University, where in the world do computer electronic engineers work? Where do they work? Which companies?
Well, you will find computer electronic engineers in any company, basically, from banks who hire computer electronic engineers to assist in assigning loans for businesses, all the way through to more technical places, Google, Amazon, more electronic companies like Samsung, Huawei, if you trust the Chinese, and yeah, well, Tesla, why not?
Great. Okay. Then we had a question. Let's go to the question. Richard Kotse, Johan, I'm going to ask the question back to you. Hy vra, Richard, baie dankie vir jou vraag. Hy vra, sluit die komputer en die rekenaar elektroniese ingenieurswese kursus dan in om die program te skryf vir jou foon om alles te kan sien of net om die kweekhuis te bou. So that is the question. It's latching on to what was previously asked. So this degree, does it help you to build the greenhouse or is it about the other side? So just specify on that.
No, thanks, Richard. I'm going to answer the question in English. Yes, indeed, it helps you to write the app on the phone. It could be a dedicated app or it could be a web-based application, depending on what you want to do. And yes, indeed, it's your own innovative background and innovative inclination that will help you to build the greenhouse as well. So the greenhouse, that's an interesting. It's actually quite a good question because as engineers, we don't know everything. You don't learn everything at the university. And one of the things that you typically won't learn is how to build a greenhouse. That's something that you will have to read up on, and you'll have to speak to other disciplines, like in the agricultural field, and they're specialists. Obviously, you need to consult with them. But elementary things, and I don't want to say that a greenhouse is elementary, but from an elementary perspective, you should be able to build a greenhouse, having read up on how it works, understand the basic, chemistry of it, because that's why you were taught chemistry, and you should be able to read up a little bit on biochemistry and agriculture, and you should be able to build that greenhouse as well as writing the app. In more advanced fields, and you do get advanced greenhouses. So in more advanced fields and disciplines, you would definitely consult with another party because then you'd be outside. If you say, for example, building this greenhouse for a client, then I would definitely consult an agricultural specialist or whatever specialist required in that whatever discipline you'll be working in to make sure that you're not acting from outside of your field of discipline, because that would be unprofessional. So as an engineer, we'll teach you how to teach yourself. And that's one of the most important things that you can learn from our degrees is we actually teach our students how to go out and be sufficient, self-sufficient. And that's why it's an excellent question, I think, Corneels.
Thank you very much, Johan. The next comment from Polosa Calvin wrote, hey, banna bua English. Calvin kia hutla. Batu babang babu Afrikaans. Maar kau fela hau hutle English. Maar hau batu babua li botsa di potso kwa Afrikaans riklabulela gape. Mo English. Ribatla kau fela go hutla di potso li ri arabang Afrikaans li English. Josiami Morena will try to accommodate everyone, whether you're Afrikaans or English or a little bit Tswana. My technical Tswana is not that good, maar kia leka Polosa, Josiami. Die volgende vraag, terwyl ons dan op taal is, Johan Michael vra, hy's 'n Afrikaanse matriekstudent. Hy vra, stel ons voorstel dat hy sy eerste jaar in Afrikaans of Engels moet doen, word die programmeringsvakke in Engels of Afrikaans aangebied. So this question is from an Afrikaans, so this is not an English mother tongue speaker asking the question whether he should proceed with his first year in English or in Afrikaans, and the programming subjects, are they done in English or in Afrikaans? Christo, I'm going to ask that question. I'm going to pass it on to you. So jy asseblief vir Johan Michael daarop kan antwoord.
Okay, let me answer that in English, so everyone else is on the same page. At this stage, we are presenting, most of the modules are still presented in Afrikaans, but we have interpreters in class that will answer or interpret while the lecturer is speaking. For some people, I think it's a foreign thing. The lecturer keeps quiet and then someone else speaks. It's not the case. They are sitting as part of the audience, listen to the lecturer, and some of the students have headsets. It's not limited to people that can only understand English. Some people cannot hear that well, so they also wear the headsets, and then they can hear in English. So at this stage, it is in both languages. Remember, all your textbooks, all the notes, everything is in English. So if you study in Afrikaans, you'll be exposed to English. It's not just that you study in Afrikaans and you don't know any English. I think it builds on your bilinguality if you do it like that. I'd like to give Isak a chance to respond because he's a current student. I think he can answer you better in that he experiences it for himself. He's an Afrikaans speaking student, and he can speak English now, so you can hear what's his proficiency. Don't mind.
Right, baie dankie meneer. Welkom almal. Eerstens ek wil gou 'n shout-out gee vir Ludwig hulle en almal wat saam met my in die 3de jaar nou swat by Rekenaar Elektronies. Johan, I'm going to continue answering this question in English. I was also went to Afrikaans school. But one thing, especially with programming, is that you learn that YouTube and Stack Overflow and resources like that, those are your friends. And everything is in English. So it doesn't really matter if you decide you want to do it in Afrikaans or English. Programming is most of the time in English. A Russian guy can write code and you will still understand it because coding is almost like a language on its own, if I can say that as well. So from my experience, I'd actually prefer learning everything in English. Like Mr. Christie also said, your textbooks are English and the industry language is also English. So it won't hurt you to go either way. So yeah, that's all I can say on that.
Terwyl ons besig is met Isak, Isak is 'n student in rekenaar elektroniese ingenieurswese. Ek wil jou sommer vra, wat is jou ervaring in terme van die kursus oor die algemeen, en ek dink jy het 'n ding of twee wat jy dalk vir ons wil demonstreer, Isak. As jy wil, jy's meer as welkom.
Baie dankie Corneels. Ja, ek nou nie so fancy goed soos Pieter hulle daar aan die ander kant nie. Ek speel maar net so 'n bietjie rond met die goed. Maar laat ek eers begin by my experience wat ek tot dusver gehad het as 'n student. Ek moet sê die universiteit gee regtig vir jou al die kan ek sê die toerusting of al die geleenthede vir jou om die beste te kan maak van jou studies wat daar is. Jy kan altyd na 'n dosent toe gaan of jy kan met iemand gaan gesels as jy wil meer weet oor iets of as jy iets mee wil eksperimenteer. Ek persoonlik, ek hou baie daarvan om tyd in die labs te spandeer. Soos ek nou nog gesê, daar's lekker toerusting waarmee mense goed kan bou en allerlei goed sien. Soos meneer Piet altyd sê, om te meet is om te weet, so jy moet altyd kan sien wat jy doen. Maar ja, ek kan sommer 'n bietjie begin. Ek het gou hier 'n ding of twee kry. Ja, dis nou 'n bietjie, dis nou nie so fancy soos daai van Pieter hulle nie, maar dis maar eenvoudige goedjies. So hier is sommer 'n uurglas wat ek gebou het, wat jy nou die spoed kan stel met wat dan vol raak. Ek het oorspronklik gedink dit is 'n beter manier om 30 seconds te speel, maar ek het die timing nog nie regtig perfek gekry nie. So dis nou net een ding. 'n ander ding wat ek ook baie mee speel in my vrye tyd is 3D printing oor die algemeen. Dit kan nou wees enige vorm van resin na DLP. Julle sal sien aan die agtergrond staan twee van my printers. Ek en twee van my vriende het eintlik vroeër hierdie jaar het ons of eintlik meer einde laas jaar het ons 'n 3D printer van scratch af gedesign, die parte ingevoer, geprogrammeer en alles gedoen, en hy's actually Ja, hy is nog steeds in die prototype fase, maar hy is omtrent sy standaard printing speed is 2 keer vinniger as wat al ons ander printers kan print. Dit is nogal interessant. Maar daar is eintlik meer 'n megatroniese tipe ingenieurswese as ek dit so kan stel, want jy werk baie meer met ander kragte en goed, maar dit is baie lekker om die programmering en die sagteware agter dit te kan optimiseer om beter prints en beter materiaalsterkte en goed as dit te kan kry. Onder andere wat ek nog vir julle kan wys is, hierdie is iets wat ek in my tweede jaar gebou het. Julle kan nou nie regtig mooi sien nie, die kwaliteit gaan nie te great wees nie, maar is basically 'n touchscreen oorlosie wat ek gebou het, of ja, ek weet nie of julle mooi daar kan sien, daar kan mens die tyd en die goed stel. En dit was 'n kombinasie van 3D printing, CAD design en hier is sy binnegoed, nou elektronika. Ja, daar's 'n bietjie duct tape want dis maar net om 'n bietjie rond te speel. En nog 'n paar dinge wat ons ook wat jy ook nou gaan leer as jy ingenieur soos 'n swat is. In jou eerste jaar leer jy maar met baie oor materiale, materiaaleienskappe, CAD design, daai tipe klas van dinge. So jy sal sê net maar hierdie is nou 'n foonkassie wat ek design het en self geprint het, wat nou sê net maar meer 'n rigiede materiaal is. Dan kry jy baie ander applikasies, maar meer aan die mediese wêreld toe waar ek nou sê net maar vir mense nou weer help is baie keer met tandheelkundiges en ouens wat in operasies doen, baie met tande te doen. Kan hulle vir my scans gee van tande en ek kan in resin 'n baie hoë akkurate model vir hulle gaan maak en vir hulle gee. Wat hulle dan kan doen is hulle kan daarmee verder kan hulle gaan en hulle kan 'n operasie guide maak of iets in daai lyn dat hulle operasie suksesvol kan uitvoer. So dit is net van die goed, want ek nog een laaste dingetjie wat ek vir julle kan wys. Maar ek het myself bietjie misgis met hierdie ouetjie vandag. Ek gou meneer Christo, hy sal erken wat is alles op hierdie bord. Hy is baie lief vir sy amplifiers. Ek gou hier net hier aansit. Hopelijk choke ek myself nie weer van nou met die ding nie. Alright. So basies wat ons hier het is dit is 'n tipe amplifier wat ek gebou het wat die klank in plaas van deur 'n speaker uit te speel hy dit deur 'n elektriese aak uit. So jy dis bietjie maar coils, verhoudinge en goed soos dit waarmee mense bietjie rond speel. So ek gaan net soveel hier hou. Dan gaan ek gou krag gee. Ek net gaan my voltage net regstel op my bench power supply. En my stroom kan ek so 6 ampere sit. So ek weet nie of julle kan dalk die liggie hier agter sien. Ek gaan net sommer hier vat. Ek sou bang ek choke myself weer. So 'n interessante ding van hierdie is mense kan nou wat ek gaan vir julle wys. Ek het nou hierso het ek nou my foon ingeprop aan hierdie kant. En dan kan ek gou 'n liedjie sommer vir julle speel. Hy's baie sag. Maar kom kyk gou. Maar dis maar net een ding. Maar dat ek gou iets anders ook vir julle wys. Daar is, mens kan halogeen gloeilampe ook met dit krag gee. So kom ek gryp gou hier by my bedlamp hier uit. Ek het eintlik 'n ander een gekry. Of ek sal dit dalk nou vir julle eerder wys. Maar ja, dis maar net so van die goedjies waarmee ek besig is. Meneer Christo kan nou vir julle nou lekker ook wys van hoe om routing te doen op PCB's om jou eie circuit boards te maak en ons kan nog baie aangaan oor printing en goed ook, maar ons het nou nie heeldag tyd ongelukkig nie. So ek sal nou gou vir julle gou 'n gloeilamp gaan uitkrap iewers, dan sal ek gou vir julle die laaste ding wys en dan ja, dis maar wat ek van my kant af bietjie kan wys wat ek gebou het en baie van die goed wat ek hier gebou het ek geleer by universiteit self. Veral as dit kom by MOSFETs en daai tipe dinge. Meneer Christus sal getuig van dit. En ja, dan dis al wat ek het om te sê. Dankie Corneels.
Much Isak. So as you can hear, a lot of gadgets, a lot of things to play around with, things that can shock you and things that can be built. Quite an interesting field. I'm looking at the comments. If you have any other comments, please ask those questions right here, type them in the live chat function and we'll get to that. Samuel, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. Yes, here to serve, here to help. If we can help you with questions, please feel free. Poloso Josiami Lina, I'm glad we are on the same page. Right. So as we are winding down now, I'm going to give Christu and then Johan and then Peter and then Isak a final word. If you were to give a message, why study computer and electronic engineering? what would your 2-3 sentence reason be that you put out there for the people watching? What would that be? Christo, let's start with you.
Okay, I think you all know the era, the time that we live in. It's technology based, and I like to see or to say that the computer electronic engineer, especially engineering, is in the top of the food chain regarding technology. If you study that now, you'll be fine for the next 100 years regarding a job. After that, I can't guarantee anything.
Thank you very much, Christo. Well, people might be living for that long, but at least for 100 years, they will be safe. So those of you going to reach 118, you are safe. Those of you who are going to get older, hopefully you'll be on pension by then. Johan, your slogan, your message.
Well, I think, well, I know that money follows passion. So if you're passionate about electronic engineering, you will make money. You will survive. You will always find a place to work, as Christo said. But the true fulfillment comes in with a diversity of things that you can do. You can do virtually anything. You're not limited by a specific discipline. And you know what? With this knowledge, even if you change direction and become, a risk management specialist of R&B, like a friend of mine did, or you go and work for McKinsey, you will always have this knowledge that'll form the basis of whatever new venture you tackle. And it's something you can start from home. You don't need to be in a big, you don't need a 5-axis CNC machine to start. You can start with your computer and a basic, setup. And like Isak has demonstrated over there, and you'll be fine. So if you study this, you will always have a job, maybe for 200 years.
Thank you very much, Johan. 200 years, that is a good time period, two centuries, so that's safe. Peter.
Yeah, I think for me personally, I like looking at these things, but then I like to know how it works. And then I don't stop there. I want to know how I can build my own. So basically, if that's the kind of questions that you ask yourself, I think maybe this is the course for you.
Baie dankie, Pieter. And then we move to Isak. Final word from you. Why would you say, if you have that bulb you want to show, you're more than welcome to show us that. But what would be your final word on this degree? Why would you say should somebody consider computer and electronic engineering?
Van dis die regte een. Joke it. I just want to quickly show the light bulb as I promised. Here's the thing. I just don't want to choke myself. So as you can see, it turns on and it turns off again. It's quite interesting, but I just want to show you because people seem to react differently when I show this to them. I can take a bit of everything that other people said about this. I personally believe that in maybe 200 or 300 years time, okay, let's stick at 200, that there will still be job opportunities. And me personally, I like technology. I like to see stuff moving forward, and I also want to know what is it that drives the technology, what is making everything happen. And that curiosity is what has driven me to computer and electronic engineering. It's so versatile in every aspect that I can say it's almost applicable everywhere. So for job security, one, but for me personally, it also is a passion of mine to do this. If you like dismantling phones, if you like taking computers, if you like taking anything and breaking it apart and figure out how it works, this is the way to go. So that's just the final few things I have to say on this. But yeah, thanks, Corneels.
Thank you very much, Isak. So we have another question, and if you have questions, you have to ask them now, because once I don't see any more questions coming, then we're done for the day. As daar nog vrae, asseblief laat gaan. So Daniel van Wyk wil weet, wat is die minimum vereistes vir 'n laptop of desktop. Indien 'n persoon rekenaar elektroniese ingenieurswese wil studeer, benodig jy slegs 'n laptop of sal 'n laptop as ook 'n desktop ideaal wees? So the question is, what are the minimum requirements in order to study computer and electronic engineering? And before I pass the question to Christo, if you are currently enrolled to study engineering next year at the Northwest University, there will be a communique going out. There will be a message going out, an email stating those minimum requirements. But as we are now talking, and we have Christo on the line, Christo, do you have an idea? Do you need a laptop? Do you need a laptop and a desktop? And if that's the case, what are the specs?
Oh, well, that's difficult to say. I don't think there's a strong enough PC available for an engineer because you continually need more power. Look at stuff like just normal simulations. It's just a matter of time because when your computing power runs out. You want the latest and greatest one, typically decent if you want a gamer PC. The processing capabilities of those PCs are much better. But the laptop, the big advantage is you can work wherever you are. And usually they have a lot of work. If you are bound to an office to do your work, you'll miss out on a lot of time that you can just quickly put something out. So I'd recommend a really good laptop. That is the best option.
Thank you very much, Christo. Isak, I think I saw you put your hand up. I think you can perhaps give some comments on that. But yes, it's good to have the fastest and the best, but I think the idea is also not to buy a 100,000 Rand laptop because they can just quote you, Christo, and they'll go to their parents and say, no, but we need the best and the fastest. I need this. I need this. So realistically, Isak, your experience, what would be for now, because things change, but for now, what would you say for you as a third-year student? What would be good?
Okay, I see there's a comment that says MATLAB equals GPU killer. I can, yeah, I agree with that. So if you want to look on for PCs, like Mr. Christus said, you're going to run a lot of simulation software. You're going to run MATLAB, and I've had cases where MATLAB eats about almost 10 gigs of RAM if you want to run a big simulation. So if I can recommend a little bit of specs for you, I'd say go at least for an i7 with 16 gigs of RAM, and an SSD, solid state drive, is a must for you as well. And a GPU, something in the line of a GTX 1060 or 1660, or if you want to go overkill, RTX 260 would also be sufficient. It's more, but that's more for use on the CAD side. But you want to focus more on something with processing power and RAM. So that's just, if that helps you a bit. If you want to go look at specific sites for laptops, you can go to EveTech. You can even, you can even go to Amazon if you want to look over there. You can probably get a much cheaper laptop there, but that's just some experiences I've had, if I can share that. But yeah, thank you, Corneels. That's all I want to say about that.
Thank you, Isak. If you understood what he just said, you should become a computer and electronic engineer. If you did not understand that, you should contact me and we can talk about other engineering disciplines. No, I'm just joking. But whatever he said, you could just rewind the video and just write down those things. But there will be a formal message also going out. But that's just from an insider view on how these things work. Tasneem, she has a question. Johan, I'm going to ask you to answer this one. Tasneem is asking, sir, could you explain the difference between software and computer and electronic engineering? That is, yes, that's, so I don't know, we don't have software engineering, Tasneem, but yeah, I hope Johan will be able to decipher what you actually meant by that question.
All right, so software engineering is a subheading of computer and electronic engineering. So computer engineering includes software, hardware, networks, and systems, larger and smaller systems. So one of those elements would be software, and software engineering is the process of creating new software solutions for whatever application.
Brilliant answer. So Tasneem, If you do computer and electronic engineering, software engineering will be, the software will be a subheading. And then I assume you will also be able, if you want to specialize in that, you can do a master's degree and a PhD in that field if you want to become a specialist in that. So that's also that. Johan Michael het 'n vraag Christo, ek gaan hom na jou kant toe gooi. Kan ons al ons handboeke elektronies gebruik in die klas? Is dit nodig om fisiese handboeke te koop en word die lesse byvoorbeeld deur PDF gegee vir ons en nie op papier nie? Is 'n baie geldige vraag, Johan, want veral nou in ons inperkingstyd wat klasse aanlyn aangebied word, dink ek is daai 'n belangrike vraag. So just to repeat the question is, do you need to buy a physical textbook like this, thermodynamics? Do you need to buy the book, or will a e-book, will that version suffice? Christo.
Well, if you look behind me, I just arranged this a bit. My bookshelf, books are quite expensive. This one book, this physics book, I see a few years ago when I bought it, it was 180 rand. Nowadays, these books are 1,000 rand plus. So it's not possible anymore to buy all the books. So many of the publishers, they make their PDFs available, and you can buy the PDF book a lot cheaper. Through the whole lockdown period, I presented my video class totally without pen and paper, and all was done via the net. We have a platform at the university called eFundi. You can put all the lessons on there. You can put presentations there. You can put quizzes there. You can put practical assignments there. The students can submit their work there. So it's all based around the eFundi platform. Really, the paper-based thing is only for contact sessions. But through this time, we learned that you can do anything without using paper, without using textbooks. It's easier. And the other thing is, you can imagine if I just give you a quick, books that I'm pointing to is all first-year books. This one. If you carry those books around, you'll have to have quite a big bag to carry it in. If it's on your iPad or so, it's quite easy. Around. So it's logistically, it also makes sense.
Baie dankie, Christo. So Johan, om jou vraag te antwoord, kyk in eerste plek na prys. You'll have to look at the price of these books. Sometimes the difference between an e-book and a hard copy is also not that much. It's funny, but such is life. But yes, sometimes it's just much better to have the textbook on a screen. But then on the other hand, sometimes it's nice to have a physical book. So you have to do for that, but you will suffice it. You will manage with ebooks. That's possible, and you can save a couple of rand and save a couple of trees. That's also a good thing. Ludwig Olivier, just a helpful hint check. Eve Tech Cyber. Okay, yes. So there are also hints on where to get laptops and equipment on special. But I see no more comments, no more questions. So from our side, Isak, Daniel van Wyk. Daniel van Wyk het 'n vraag. Thanks. Indien jou skool slegs CAT aanbied en nie IT nie, watter programmeringstaal kan mens intussen aanleer wat jou moontlik tydens jou studie sal kan help? So this question has been asked previously, not just yes, I'll pass it to I got one. I got 4 answers exactly the same, and I will have them answer that. But the long and the short of this is that yeah, there are various philosophical answers to this question. But what is the way to go? So let's start. I'll do Christo, Johan, Pieter, and Isak. You can answer the question. Let's start with Christo.
I think if you want to go somewhere with programming, you have to start with C. It's used everywhere. Peter will give you some more insights into that, and I think he uses C on a daily basis as well. But that would be my recommendation.
Johan?
Like in C.
No doubt. C. If you understand C, you will understand virtually any other language, because the higher level languages are based on the same principles as C. C is something that you can learn easily. It's flexible. You can port it virtually to any platform. It really is a good language to understand. And really, myself, I've programmed almost 1 million lines of code in C, and I'll never get tired of it because I can do virtually anything that I want with it. Peter, you might add some value, being the real specialist here.
Well, I started out, and I'm very happy that I did. I started out with C++, which is just, the thing is, C++ is C with objects and classes and inheritance. So 100% C code is 100% C++ code, but C++ is just more. So I would recommend C++, as that translates very well to Java, that translates very well to C#, that translates very well to basically any other language. But what I also would like to say is there are a couple of newer generation languages for people that have never programmed before, which are very good to get your feet wet. So I would recommend, we also use that in-house for prototyping, for testing things, for just building something small. I wouldn't recommend building a system from that, but Python is also a very good language. It's very nice for scientific work, very nice for machine learning stuff. But as building a system with that, I would not recommend that. That's my 2 cents.
True.
Right.
All
So
right.
the answer is out there. The answer is for I equals 1 to thank you do, you have to go with C. That is the language that they would recommend. If you listen to previous sessions, for instance, Dr. Henry Marais, I think it was last week, Tuesday, he had a sort of a similar but different answer. So you can also tune into that if you missed that. Daniel, jy kan na daai video ook kyk. Maar ek dink die belangrike punt is ja, C is belangrik wat ek hier hoor, maar as ek reg kan onthou ook, voordat jy die taal kies, moet jy eers 'n probleem in elk geval kan vereenvoudig en dit die konseptualisering daarvan kan doen. Die taal is net die gereedskap om daarby uit te kom. So ja, doen C, briljant, maar dit gaan oor 'n stap terug. Daar's 'n fundamentele stap terug van definiering van die probleem. Praat ek nou as 'n nie rekenaar elektroniese ingenieur, goed wat ek nie moet sê nie. Goed. Hannes Nel, vraag wat jy hierso vir ons vra. As jy nie in 'n tegniese skool is nie, watter elektronika blootstelling kan ek soek? So I'm referring, it's not in a technical school. I don't think anybody in this crowd was in a technical school. But electronics, how can I get some exposure to electronics? Yes. Johan, let's hear what you have to say.
Well, don't touch exposed wires. That's the wrong way to do it. You don't need exposure to electronics because we will teach you right from the start how to do electronics. If you do want, there are many online courses that you can follow if you like. Lots of information on the web. Kirsta, you might know exactly which ones are pedagogically, sound, but you'll get a lot of information. And by the way, Corneels, I was in a technical school. Christo was in a technical school. Peter, were you in a technical school too? Peter was also in a technical school.
Well, it's just Isak and myself that were not in technical schools there. But yes, so Hannes, you're in our crowd, and you saw Isak, and he's playing around with those gadgets and things. So he's getting exposure as a third-year student. So I think that is good. But Christo, he has some tips. Hannes, ek hoop hierdie gaan vir jou van waarde wees.
Ek kan hierdie eers in Afrikaans en dan sal ek dit in Engels ook antwoord. En mense lag daarvoor, hulle sê ingenieurs haal altyd goed uitmekaar uit en so. Maar beste raad wat ek iemand kan gee is, as jy elektronika wil leer, gaan maak iets reg. Want as jy daai ding moet regmaak, moet jy gaan uitfigure, hy's nou stikkend, hoekom werk hy nie? Nou moet jy uitvind hoe werk hierdie baan. Jy gaan soveel goed leer. Nie nodig het om gewone tutoriaaltjies en goed te doen. Jy sien my ene, hierdie ding doen dit, hierdie een doen dit. Moet dit gebeur nie hier nie. So hier's iets. As jy iets regmaak, baie goed. If you want to learn electronics, just start by repairing something simple. But please be safe. Don't take a UPS or something apart and choke yourself. And lose the love for it. So just pick something simple. Okay.
Baie dankie Christo. Isak, ek sien jou hand is op.
Alright, ja, ek gaan hierdie ook sommer in Afrikaans vat. Ek kan wel vir ouens aanbeveel wat wil begin, wat iewerste met elektronies goed wil begin. Ek gaan weer vir meneer Piet quote, om te meet is om te weet. So kry net vir iewerste 'n goed, jy hoef nie 'n duur multimeter te kry nie. Kry net vir 'n multimeter, dat jy net 'n basiese tool het om mee goed te kan begin. Dan kan jy na 'n site soos Instructables, www.instructables.com toe gaan. En hulle het baie spesifiek elektronies gebaseerde rigtings en klasse of goedjies wat hulle aanbied, projekte. Jy kan as jy wil met Arduino's gaan speel, maar dit is nie regtig hoe ek sal nie sê dis die regte manier om dit te doen nie, maar jy kan wel 'n bietjie van programmering leer en 'n bietjie van elektronika. Julle kan die ander mense, jy kan my gerus reghelp as ek nou besig is om nou 'n klomp strooi te praat. Maar dan nou weer terug by die goeders, as jy wil komponente kry, daar's by meeste groot dorpe is daar plek. Kry vir jou dalk 'n 555 timertjie, schematics is redelik eenvoudig om te bou. Speel bietjie net met dit rond, stil lig jy op, kyk hoe die ding flikker soos wat die waardes verander. Dis regtig, elektroniese komponente is self nie duur nie. So dit is net 'n goeie manier om eers te begin. Jy kan altyd gaan Google ook. Daar's baie resources online beskikbaar. Jy kan ietsie prakties bou en jy gaan dit is regtig maklik om te verstaan as jy eers die hang of dit gekry het. So ja, dit is my 2 cents about this.
Right, so with that, we have reached the end of our afternoon. I want to thank the panel members, Christo van der Merwe, Professor Johan Holm, Pieter Jordaan, een van die dae dokter, ek wil nie druk op hom plaas nie, maar ons hoop een van die dae kry hy sy PhD, en dan is alles as goed. Nee, mens moet die mense motiveer uit die aard van die saak, en dan ook vir Isak Adendorf, wat agter die skerms werk as 'n student en seker maak dat hierdie uitgesaai word op YouTube. Thank you very much for tuning in. I want to remind you, tomorrow we are just taking a break from the electrical stuff. So tomorrow is industrial engineering at 3 o'clock. Bedryfsingenieurswese, môre 3 uur, jy kan dit nie misloop nie. Ook 'n baie interessante gesprek wat voorlê. And then on Thursday, 3 o'clock, mechatronic engineering, mechatroniese ingenieurswese, splinternuut van volgende jaar af op die NWI. You cannot miss that. And then on Friday, we will be talking about electromechanical engineering. So still a lot ahead of us. We hope that you will join us tomorrow and the day after tomorrow and on Friday. Mag julle 'n wonderlike aand hê. Totsiens. Goodbye. Usalesen.